You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. As always, I'm excited to be here with you all today and to dive into another topic today, which is the cost of waiting. How many of you have sat at home and you've thought of all these great business ideas and you said, "Hey, when I get to X amount of money or when I get X amount of time, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give this a try." I too have been there, and today what we want to talk about is like, what are you costing yourself by continuing to wait and push it off? Because at the end of the day, there's never a perfect moment, and I think oftentimes as human beings, we tend to want to look for those perfect moments to be able to do something rather than just jumping and going and doing. I once had a friend tell me that not let perfection get in front of progress. And I think that phrase there in itself serves itself well for the topic that we're going to get into today. So I know that last week we skipped a little bit, and we were expecting to have Mike Robb on the episode, and we had to do a little bit of a pivot due to some scheduling. But I'm happy to say that we are able to get him back in the studio today. So without further ado, I want to welcome Mike Roberts into the studio.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. How are you doing, man?
Man, you know how it is. Blessed to be here. Grace and gratitude on my plate, and I'm still hungry, baby. I'm still hungry.
Got to be right,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because there's a cost to waiting, right? So
Yes,
you
sir.
got to stay hungry. Yeah. So today I wanted to dive into topic around what does it cost you in waiting to take an initiative? And I think that we always, as human, we innately wait for the right moment to jump and do. I certainly was that person. I think maybe I'll jump into what my kind of the moment that I said, you know what, I'm done waiting. I'm just going to go and do. So I was actually had built a decent career in accounting, was working in a bunch at a credit union, helping them build out their finance team as a senior financial analyst. And what I will tell you is, I've been working on the idea, didn't really know how to bring it to life, and then finally, like the bulb just went off. I said, you know what? Like we're in the middle of a pandemic now. Like I'm sitting at home, I'm looking at my walls, my four walls. I'm like, what am I actually doing? Am I actually doing what I was put on this earth to do? So that's when I set out and said, you know what? I'm just gonna quit my job. I'm gonna start turn signal with my two friends, and like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then hey, I learned something, and then I go back into corporate America. And I'm so thankful for that, for just jumping and doing, because uh, not only did that expedite my career, like it put me on this path to really show like I can be a CFO. Here's, even regardless of my age, regardless of the years of work that I have put into this, I'm ready for the moment. And yeah, there definitely were stumbling blocks where I had to learn some core things that, what you would call development to be developed into that role. But if I had not stepped out into that and taking that chance, it probably would take me at least another 5 to 10 years to get to where I am today. So it truly expedited my path. I'm sure you have certain moments like that as well.
Yes, sir. So I it goes back to real estate when I had my first rental property out in Brooklyn Park, and I was renting and I was watching rent go up every year. Every time that lease opened up, because it was a 12-month lease, and my landlord at the time, my first and only landlord, he was like, every time it opened up, he would raise the rent, and I could see where he was going with it every year, and I'm like, this isn't sustainable in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
And at the time, my wife was like, yo, I think we're ready to buy. I think we're ready to buy. I'm like, I want to save up this and that. And, I was the one kind of like being skeptical because, like I said, that risk reward, right? I can't risk the biscuit and do something that my family's never done before. I'd never even, thought of buying something so big and having a debt of six figures. You know what I mean? That was just devastating to me at the moment. I'm like, I'm fresh out of college and all this extra stuff's going on. Don't have my career situated, and I'm still stumbling trying to figure things out. Got a baby now. You know what I mean? 2015. I'm like, oh my god. I'm trying to figure out how to be a father and all this extra stuff, and it's like all of that stuff. I'm like, I'm a perfectionist, so I want things to be
Mhm.
perfect when I make a move. And I'm like, look, let's just save a little more, this, that, and the third, and so on. And it turned out to be, a blessing in disguise that she was there pushing me to like, let's just make this jump. Let's just make this jump. Right. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's figure it out then. You want to make this thing happen right now? Let's figure this thing out. And we ended up, selling one of our vehicles, doing this, that, and the third to actually come up with the down payment and some more stuff. And it was a wild experience. But if we would have waited at that time, we wouldn't even have got the rate that we got at that point in time because I believe we had like a 2 point something interest rate on that property, and then we found it off market, slightly outside the skirts of town. And we were able to get it with no bidding war or anything. And there were mad bidding wars at the time because when rates are down, people are just throwing money at stuff, right? Like it's nothing. And we were able to acquire that property. And little did I know, I was actually living and doing my first burr without even knowing what a burr was, because we had to
Yeah.
go in there, rip the carpets out, do the flooring, switch out the appliances. I had to physically paint the whole place myself. It was crazy, bro. I'm talking about the place was it was havoc because it was a rental property and somebody passed away, and the family just wanted to get rid of it. They didn't want to do any work to it or anything like that. So it was a blessing in disguise. And I still to this day I wasn't fully ready to make that jump. I was
So
that person looking for the perfect time, having the perfect amount of money saved up, reserves, and this, that, and the third. And there's no perfect time.
yeah, 100%. So first of all, um, number one, what's a burr? So don't be
Oh,
throwing don't be throwing these real estate terms out that I don't know what you talking
so
about. Like, what's a
a
burr?
A burr is when you buy something, you rehab it, you rent it out, and then you refinance it to pull out your money again, and then
Ah,
you rinse and repeat. Those are the
got
BRRR.
it. Got it.
So I didn't know that I was actually doing that until I looked back and I came across another group of guys at the Bigger Pockets that were telling me about, what I mean, how to do this over and over again, and the snowball and build your equity even faster by putting down a certain amount of money to get into and acquire a property, fix it up, you know what I mean, rent it out to somebody else, and then refinance it to pull your initial investment out, and then rinse and repeat. So like when I figured that whole concept, I was like, this is insane. Why isn't everybody doing this? You know what I mean? And it's just because it's something that's scary. Most people don't even want to buy, let alone buy something else to put somebody else into, right? And it's a whole process to do a burr and to do it properly and to know the ins and outs. But like I was blessed to stumble into that and to actually, walk through a burr without knowing I was doing a burr and come out unscathed. And there's no amount of learning or, what I mean, preparing myself for that moment other than to fall and fail forward and fail often through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, I like that last piece that you just mentioned, because I think that's the important core piece is the willingness to fail. Like I think a lot of people are scared to fail and they think that if I fail, like that's the end of the world. Like we've all been there, right? Like,
Yep.
if you've been a competitor at any level, whether it's playing sports or whatever you do, um, you probably have experienced that, like that feeling of not wanting to fail. And I think, when I think back on my career and like where I am now, what leaving my job gave me and going out and doing trying to run my own business gave me was psychological safety. And I think that when people hear that, they're like, psychological safety, like that's probably the opposite of psychological safety, right? Because like there's so much uncertainty, but that's what I'm getting at is like the fact that there was so much uncertainty and that my back was always against the wall, and like at any point in time we could be out of money and out of business, right?
Yep.
Like uh that gave me psychological safety that now when I'm in a corporate job like I'm in now, which I love the work that I'm doing at CLA, I also am able to live a little bit more free than I had been in past corporate jobs, because I know that like if something doesn't work out, like there's always something else. And because I have a hustler's mentality, like I'll figure it out. Now certainly I want CLA to work out and I believe that it's going to work out. It's going really well. But just having that psychological safety that like, you know what, like if it doesn't work out, like I can go and get something else or I'll figure it out, allows me to do my best work in my current role because I don't feel that pressure.
Yep. That's a big one right there, is that, having to go into something that makes you feel like you're not, what I mean, in control, allows you to understand and grow the concept of being comfortable not being comfortable, right?
Mhm.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's how you truly grow into things. And I had to learn that whole process too. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist, so I had to get out of that concept of, this has to be like this, and I have to know this, that, and the third before I make this step or do this thing. And I learned from a lot of successful people that, you know, you have to fail in order to succeed. If you're not failing every day, you're not trying something new. And if you're not trying something new, you're not growing. So, in order to actually get that growth that you're looking for, you have to challenge yourself. You have to step into things that you're not used to or that you don't understand fully. I mean, it's good to have a basis and an understanding of something that you're trying to go into, but you can't know everything. There's a learning curve to everything that you touch on, and I learn that every day because I jump into different things often. And I know, like, oh, I might know this little sliver of things, or I know it just in this direction, but there's an array of things I don't know, and you don't know until you bump your head and figure it out.
Yeah. And I know that to be true about you. You've always been kind of one of those people that's willing to try a bunch of different things. Actually, even going back to, um, part of the reason why you got MVP in our on our high school football team, right, was because you literally played every single position on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Someone went down. And it was like, okay, well, guess Mike Roberts is going to play guard today, or
Yeah.
guess Mike Roberts is going to play tackle today, or he's going to play center. Like, talk to me about how like those moments early in your youth, being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and playing multiple positions or whatever you're called upon, how did that shape who you are today?
Yeah,
And
it
and did
gave.
and did you and did you realize that when you were doing it?
No, at the time I didn't understand, I knew that I always wanted to be what people needed of me, right?
Mm,
Whether that's on the field or in my household or whatever, out in my community, I always want to be a tool, a useful tool to the people around me. So when coach said somebody was down or they needed me to fill somewhere, I was next man up mentality. I'm standing right next to coach like, "Hey, put me in. I'm ready to go." And it's because of all the training I did outside of the season. You know what I mean? There was no off season for me, even between wrestling and so on. We did Greco, or Linforce had us running hills and stuff, or chopping down logs and trees, or dead trees at his house and stuff over the off season and stuff. Literally, I did that right before football season. I had literally all my shoulders were bloody, stripped, and I had to put the sweaty shoulder pads on, go out there and hit. You know what I mean? And that was those moments, like it built a lot in me just to be able to be there. Like I did literally, offense, defense, and all special teams. I was out there 24/7. Like it felt
Hmm.
like I was just standing there and people would just be coming in, coming back out and just moving over,
Same.
shifting. You know? And it's like that grind. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't prepare myself properly. I stand by the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So when I came into the season, which a lot of these kids don't get nowadays, is the season ends and they're like, all right, football's out my head, or it's on to my video games or whatever, whatnot. I'm like, no, I'm stepping into that next season, or I'm training to get back to the season I was at 10 times better than I was beforehand. And that's the only reason I was able to do the things that I was able to do, and not be second guessing myself out there. I'm like, yeah, okay, I am the best person to be at this position. Coach season, he wants to put me there because he knows I'm gonna deliver, and I'm gonna try to maximize my potential at any position that I'm put in, because that, like, I'm willing to fail and fail forward and fail often. Like, I'm not gonna fail and just doubt myself. I'm gonna fail and be like, why did I fail? How can I get better? How can I do this better? How can I be a better tool for my team and my community? So that's literally, I didn't understand that it was shaping me for, things that I'm doing now today, but at the same time, that mentality still sticks with me. Like, I'm next man up mentality all day. Like, somebody goes down on the team, I'm here, I'm ready to get going. I'm bringing that energy, I'm bringing that livelihood, like, because you know energy is transferred. People remember you by how you make them feel over anything else in life. So it's first, it's man down, man up for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to bring you on this podcast because I think that we share a similar mentality in that way. Like even I don't know what you're preparing for right now, like what season you're in right now, but I know when I think of myself in the season I'm in, working with technology clients every single day, entrepreneurs, like I want them to believe that like Andre is going to run through a brick wall for my company, whether that's like whether that's introductions that they need that are going to help move their business forward, whether that's like we're actually getting tactical about their finances within and the health of the organization. Like that is my purpose on this earth, is to run full speed through that brick wall, through the walls that like other people and within their business don't want to run through, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I'd love to hear like what season you're in. Like what are you preparing for now? What's the next chapter for you?
So I do plan on getting my broker's license here as well. I
Okay.
had just got my life license, so I'm a licensed producer of life insurance and annuities. And I'm just trying to, gather enough tools under my belt to actually be self-sustainable and lead some businesses for my family, to take on. And I'm the same way. Like, I want to touch on everything. I'm like a unicorn when it comes to real estate. I don't just do listings and buyers agency representation. I also work with property management, and I work with investors as well. So I'm well rounded in that aspect, where most agents, 95% of agents, either work with only listings or only buyers, or they only do property management, or they only do investments. So it's like
Mm,
I try to touch on everything, so I know a little bit about a lot of things, so that people can utilize me for many different avenues, because not everybody looks the same, or people might have, I've turned buyers into investors, right? I've taken listings and turn those into investment properties for people, and then property manage it for them as well. You know what I mean? Turn those guys into investors, listing agents. I mean, listing sellers. You know what I mean? So it's all about how you see things, and how you want to go through life, because life requires a lot of down payments. You know what I mean? Time, effort. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Reputation, relationships, and learning. So everyone has opportunities, that they have to put down, payments on, just to actually, seek and reap those rewards. And I kind of, I'm that guy who just opens people's eyes to the opportunities that are out there for them, because most people don't see it. They just see things as, one track, and I like to open up that visual to what's the unlimited, in abundance, opportunities that are out there. So it's a big differential between me and a lot of these, one track real estate agents out there that just they're just turning over, trying to do this and do production. I'm literally taking families hand in hand and walking them through difficult situations, even probates. I even deal with probates. You know what I mean? Where people are dying or people are divorcing and they're splitting up assets and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Real estate agents don't want to deal with this stuff. It's something new, it's something different. But I understand, me learning these avenues allows me to make, abundance of money. If the market shifts for, we don't have many buyers no more. Okay, now I'm working with listings, investors, all these other things. We don't have many listings, right? We've had all these situations in the market currently. And you know what I mean, due to rates going up and stuff like that, people sitting on their current low rates and scared to jump out and sell their home and upsize or downsize. So these markets shift constantly, and the way I stay safe is by knowing all these markets. I even work with renters representation. I find renters properties and landlords pay me to bring them to them. So it's like
yeah,
there's not a finger of the real estate market that I'm not in, and I'm getting into tax liens as well. So I'm about to start grabbing on those, because I know notes and tax liens are the next big boy for me. You know what I mean? Because that's literally making money without having to have the assets or the downfall of the assets, right? CapEx expenditures and all this extra stuff. So there's so many different avenues in real estate that you can grow into, and I haven't even scratched the surface yet. So I know there's so many more. You know what I mean? Even commercial real estate and then some. So I'm
yeah.
very excited, and I'm keeping the pressure on, and I'm still trying to grow. Like I said, I'm staying hungry.
I love that. I love it, man. Well, I know we're towards the end of our episode. I think when we think about the cost of waiting, I think, you know, there's a few things that I hear people often saying. It's waiting to believe you're ready, it's waiting to feel confident, or it's waiting to be chosen or validated. And I think that last one is like one of the biggest issues that we have plaguing our society today, is like waiting to be validated. Like we see it every single day on social media. You're posting all of these things, and most of the time people are posting for validation. And when you think about all of those things, people aren't really thinking about the opportunity cost of what that's costing them. It's the
Yeah.
skills not learned, it's the relationships not built, it's the confidence not compounded. And I think what I've heard from you, which what people have probably heard from both of us today, is like we didn't get to where we are today overnight. Like it was literally intentionally doing being maniacal every single day towards our goals, and compounding those wins every single day, like compounding, and also the losses, right?
Yep.
Compounding the losses and understanding those losses, and being able to go back with a fine tooth comb, and really looking at those losses and understanding why we lost. And I think that's the key that a lot of people are afraid to face. I think that people that are waiting for the right time, they become seen as the careful one. And I know for myself, and I know for you, like I never want to be seen as the careful one, because that means I didn't put enough chips on the table.
Yep.
Um, Honestly, I don't want to ever get to a point where I stop seeing the upside. And that is like my life is driven off of upside, whether that's in work, whether that's in uh, how I'm teaching my sons, how to navigate the world. Like it's always based on upside. So I don't know if you have any closing remarks that you want to lay out there, but if not, we can.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I say, people think being Risk aversion feels responsible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it quietly keeps you stuck. And you know what I mean, when you're talking about it relating to like real estate, you got inflation fighting against you, market appreciation and miscompounding, right? And it's all about, the skills that you miss while you're waiting, the networks that you don't get into and grow, you know what I mean, the confidence you don't build and develop. And you know what I mean, people get comfortable, you know what I mean, being comfortable. And that's when you
Mm-hmm.
get stagnant. And they don't understand that not deciding is still making a decision, right? When you
100%.
decide not to do something, you're still making a decision at the same time. And those decisions are costly. They when you look back on a situation where you didn't make that decision, you can then equate that, or I mean value that cost that they cost you in that moment, because you now can look back and say, man, I would have did such and such when I just stood still and didn't take that opportunity and take that risk. Because like we said, that risk and reward, go hand in hand. The higher the risk, the higher your reward. And if you miss those opportunities, there's no coming back from those things. That's why I tell people that are sitting on the sideline waiting for rates to come down. I tell them, like, you're tripping. It's date the rate, marry the home. If the home
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, you know what I mean, you better put a ring on it instantly, because at the end of the day, that rate isn't permanent. It's temporary. Granted, if it like I have rates right now, people probably look at me like, man, you got a rate that's 8% on one of your properties? Yeah. I got rates that's 8%, 7.5, 6.9, all these other rates. And I understand how the market works. When the market goes back the other way, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna refinance those and be able to capitalize. I might not do a pull. I might just refinance to open up the cash flow. Or if it has
Yep.
enough equity there, I might refinance, pull some of that equity, rinse and repeat. But at the same time, I wouldn't have those opportunities at hand if I didn't go and jump into that situation, because I looked at the rate and said, "Oh man, I don't want to pay that right now to the bank." If it still makes sense, it makes sense. If it fits your budget, jump into it, because you're sitting on the sideline waiting for rates to do whatever rates are going to do. The feds are controlling all that. You have no control over that. And not even just the feds, the job market controls all that. I mean, consumerism controls all that. There's so many other avenues that control what the feds are going to do to that rate. At this point in time, I was figuring the rate to be back around, 4.5. I was like, yeah, I'm about to get it. Nope. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I
Yeah.
thought last year, you know what I mean? Then they were like, oh, the markets, every time the feds come out in that quarterly, oh yeah, the markets done did such and such and such. So it's looking like we're gonna be doing it. I was like, damn. But at least I made that deal. I got in there anyway. So I'm still sitting holding appreciation working for me. You know what I mean? Debt buy down by my tenants is working for me. I'm sitting holding, I'm still making cash flow, and I can look forward to the future knowing that I'm gonna open up my cash flow, not sitting on the sideline with a bag that I had that is working against me now because it's sitting in my savings, granted 0.1% interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm winning either way it goes, because you look at the housing market, definitely here in Minnesota, we're looking at 4 to 5% on average growth year to year in appreciation on our home value. And like I said, that's because of our strong job market. We have top 19 Fortune 500 companies that support our economy up here. You know what I mean? And when you got a strong job market like that, you're going to be able to support housing much better, because people aren't afraid to go out and take those mortgages.
Right.
People aren't afraid to take those risks. And they understand that if I lose one job, there's other jobs out there in this market that I can go jump into. So I'm safe of saying, let me go and put a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage on the line here. Let me go and take that risk and take that higher interest rate, because I know the rates are eventually going to come back down, within that time and then some. So I'm gonna save that money, and they understand compound interest and the law of 72. And I can put a little bit more money down on top of that mortgage if it makes sense for my budget to cut some of that off the back end anyways. So get in often and early. You know what I mean? Don't be on the sidelines thinking I'm about to wait. The house. I used to hear people, the housing market is going to crash and blah blah blah. I'm like, you guys are insane. We are not '08, '09 when, you know what I mean, the banking institutions and these appraisers were working hand in hand, you know what I mean, literally buddy buddy saying, hey, I need this to appraise at such and such and such, and getting people into mortgages with houses that weren't valued at what they actually paid for them. You know what I mean? And then people are stuck with houses because then you go back to try to get your money back, and you're in an upside down house because your mortgage is up here, and now your value of your actual home is down here. You know what I mean? And you can't get up out of there by selling a home or anything without paying extra money. So people were screwed back then. And now that is a third party system that is broken away so that people like the appraisers are called on the system log from the actual lenders. And it's a third party system. So they literally come in and say, hey, okay, I got such and such over here. I need an appraiser, not hey
Yeah,
Bob, come hook me up. It's I need such and such appraiser, and a random appraiser from the system comes and appraises that property properly. Yeah, I mean, there are times I deal with investors and stuff. There are times where appraisers do get it wrong slightly, and you can kind of hedge against that in advance by getting a CMA from your local real estate consultant and get a breakdown of what is actually selling in that market because real estate, residential real estate, is tied to each other. Anything that's
for
selling
sure.
around it is comparable is what your market is. There's no, you know what I mean? It's not like, commercial real estate where net operating income actually dictates how much that property is worth. So get in
Uh,
as quick as possible. If it makes sense for your budget, make it happen. Don't sit on the
for sure.
sidelines, you know what I mean? Waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the perfect down payment, waiting for, you know what I mean? Anything perfect because perfection does not exist.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I almost had to interrupt you there. We got you in your element talking about real
I'm
estate.
so,
We'd be on this call
hey,
for another 30 minutes.
I promise you.
No, but I appreciate you, man. Definitely some words of wisdom there, knowledge. I think the key takeaway today is like just jump, just jump. You got to jump and do and fail fast
You know,
and learn from it and rinse and repeat. So, with that being said, I'll leave you with this. It's not about how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Financially Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Andre Creighton. This is Michael Roberts, and we look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Thank you so much.
I'm Shaletta Brundage.
And I'm Patrice Bailey.
Food entrepreneurs are struggling right now, but listen, you don't have to do it by yourself.
That's right, because the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is here to help. Join us on Monday, February 2nd for a free lunch and learn at 11 o'clock.
Wait, did you say free?
I said free.
That's my favorite word.
And you'll love this even better because attendees will get information about grants that help support their farm, food, manufacturing, or cottage food business.
Y'all better hurry up and sign up because space is limited.
So because of that, go to mda.state.mn.us and go to the events page to get registered.
We'll see you there.
Want to own a home, especially your first? Well then, welcome home to the Old National Bank Down Payment Assistance Program. We're here to help you from start to finish and make getting a mortgage a little easier. Plus, you may be eligible for up to $15,000 to use toward your down payment. How's that for a little easier? Everyone deserves a place to call home and a bank to help get them there. Connect with an Old National mortgage lender to learn more. Old National Bank. Get old in your new home.
Hey, it's your girl Shaletta. Are you over there running low on your insulin supply and worried how you're going to pay for it? Minnesota's Insulin Safety Net programs got you covered. If you have less than a 7-day supply of insulin, you can get a 30-day refill for just $35 at any Minnesota pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org today, print out the application, complete the form, and just take it in to your pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org.